Malakot Radio.
We are the gods of the gates.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Malakot Radio. My name's Jack Bell, and I'm joined today by our star artist, Aquashii.
Hey.
How's it going? So, Aquashii, do you go by any other name, or is that what most people know you by?
My real name's Tony, so Aquashii's the artist name, yeah.
Artist name. All right, Tony. And where did the name Aquashii come from? Can you give us a little bit of a background into that name? It's quite an interesting name.
Okay. Well, it's kind of challenging to explain, but it has to do with some energetics. It also relates to water and being like water as well. So, it's to do with energy.
Okay, brilliant. I can tell from your accent you're from England.
Yes, sunny Scunny.
Oh, Scunny, is it? Sunny Scunny. Would you please give us a brief description for our listeners who may not have heard your music yet? Just give us a brief description from your own words of what your style of music is.
Okay. It's got a lot of influences. So when I was growing up, there was one particular band called Enigma that we went to Centre Parks. You know Centre Parks, right?
Yeah.
It was a family holiday, and on the way we stopped at Woolworths. And I don't know if there are even still there now, but we stopped at Woolworths and we went in and we picked up this CD. It was Enigma. I think it was the third album they were doing, Leroy something, and we put that on and we was playing it the whole holiday, and it just made everything magical. So that has and that music kind of put me in touch with deeper parts of myself that I didn't have access to before. So like I'm super grateful for that music. Songs like Return to Innocence, just so many amazing songs that Enigma's done. And when I was younger, it was people like Michael Jackson,
Of course.
Enigma, a lot of the bands actually from my mum. My mum used to play a lot of music, so Annie Lennox, people like that. So, and then modern like M83 is kind of the kind of style that I'm going for with this music.
Okay.
So I've been on quite a long spiritual kind of journey, probably since around 2004. And there's a lot of information that I'd like to share within the music. So, and it's the kind of information you can't just blurt out and it make any sense. You've got to really think about how to put it in a sentence that makes sense and touches people as well. Because if it doesn't have any relationship to people, then it's not going to emotionally affect them. So
yeah.
That's kind of like my intention with the music, is to have deep messages within the music, but also be on a level where anyone can listen to it and feel it. So that's kind of my internal mission at the moment, to do that.
I'm very intrigued by the journey that you've been on, and from what I understand, is that in your words, it was you went on a commission protecting the Earth's energetic grids. Would you be able to elaborate a little bit more on what that means, by what you mean by the word energetic grids?
Sure. So, I mean, most people have heard of chakras on the body. So there's different centers up an energy line that runs up and down your body, and that's caused by energy swirling, basically. And then if it swirls one way, it's electrical, and it's outgoing, and then if it swirls the other way, it's magnetic and it's ingoing. Okay. The Earth has exactly the same system, and the lines on it are called ley lines. So if you've ever heard of like geopathic stress, where they kind of find the lines on Earth, that's what that is. So energy runs down these lines, and when they cross, they create vortices of energy. And when you get lots and lots of them crossing at one point, it becomes a massive vortex, basically. And our energy, we're not taught this at school, but our energy system is intimately connected with the Earth's energy system.
Okay.
So what we do on our body and our energy actually affects the Earth, and what happens on Earth affects us. So on a larger scale, because it's more quantum, when things run through the energy field of Earth, it affects all of us. Like every single one of us is linked to this electromagnetic field on the Earth. So that's the connection, and that's how we as people can actually have an influence on the direction and the energy that's on Earth. So when you go onto specific places on the planet and you get together as groups of people and you intentionally run energy a certain way, you can direct energy. And what happens then is that when you get high frequency coming in, it shakes off the low frequencies and brings like healing crises to the surface, which is why the past 20 years have been a little bit chaotic, because we've been experiencing an upshift in energy. Since then, there's been a distortion in the electromagnetic field of the planet, which equals every person on the planet as well in their own DNA and their own energy fields, that blocks any memories and also higher sensory perceptions and things like that. So since that time, there are races and beings that knew about this, that have been preparing essentially for a takeover during this time between 2000 to 2017. And honestly, that's what we're witnessing right now, on a larger scale. Whether we acknowledge it or not, there are beings here that do want to take the power, the energy from this system and use it in a certain way. Luckily, there are beings that are here as well that are aware of this, that know how to counteract that and run frequency in the correct way, essentially.
Yep.
And when you run a frequency higher than the reverse frequency, it flips the reverse back around to its organic state.
Okay.
So that's essentially what the grid work was. We was going around different places on the planet, depending on what the opposite agenda would throw in energetically. We would throw something a little bit higher in the correct way, and it would reverse what they were doing.
And the locations that you visited, were these at intersections of, yeah, is that specifically where the energies intersect? Those are the locations that you go to?
Yes, yeah. And some of these are the ones that I'm actually singing about in these songs. So the song that I've just released, "We Are the Doorway," that's gate 12, which is the not the highest, the most expanded gate system on here. There are other gate systems, but the planetary gate system is number 12. It's on Montségur, France.
Yep.
And there were a group of beings on there called the Cathars, and there's a whole history there. And they
Hold that,
knew
because I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the Cathars later, because I was listening to the song and I was like, hold on a second, are they talking about the Cathars of the Siege of Montségur? And indeed you are, which is something that I'm interested in myself. So it's we'll hold off on that particular one. But the locations that you visited then, can you name just a few different places that you visited? And is Vietnam also one of those places related to the energy?
Not to the planetary Stargate system, but there are definitely energy grids here that we're at the moment we're unaware of exactly what energy there are. But it's I mean, everything is important. Like there's no non-important place on the planet. It's just there's certain heightened energy spots, and there's definitely some here, but knowledge-wise, we're not aware of it yet.
Understood.
So some of the other places are the main one's Sarasota, Florida. Okay. That's the Grual point, and then you've got Peru. Like, I didn't go to Peru, but there's Peru, there's Egypt. We went to St. Kitts. There's Ireland. There's actually a couple in England, Westbury and Avebury.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be going down all 12 gates within the song, so if people follow along, they'll know exactly where they are.
We are, we are, we are, we are the doorway. We are.
So how come you ended up staying in Vietnam of all places then? What is it that you turned up and you're like, do you know what? I might hang around here for a while.
It's my life partner.
Aha. That's as good as that's a better reason than most. So very good. I had a look at your Instagram page before, and I see that you are a very, very, very hard worker when it comes to your music. You are putting out a lot of art for people to consume there, whether it's short clips of yourself recording in the studio. I also noticed you had a series where you seem to be releasing pieces of music every single day over a year. Would you like to go into a little bit more about that and where on earth you found the inspiration from to even try and tackle a monster task like that?
I really enjoy challenges, self-created challenges, and I enjoy the accountability of it. So one of the best ways I've found to actually follow through with something is to say it to the world that you're doing this, and then post that publicly. Because if you don't post it publicly, there's a strong feeling inside that you're not doing what you said you was doing. But if you just say, hey, I'm going to do this challenge to myself, and then 10 days in, it's like, I didn't do it today. Maybe I may, and that's it. That the whole thing's kind of like dropped
Game over.
off.
Yeah.
Game over.
So your latest track, "We Are the Doorway," as you mentioned before, it does make reference to the plight of the Cathars, 210 of whom were burned in a bonfire by the Catholics at the siege of Montségur, which ended in 1244. Now, obviously, that's a bit of a grim story. From what I understand, the Cathars were an offshoot of Christianity who believed that they were perfect. Now, unfortunately, a bit of worshipping two natures of God or two gods came into it, say the Catholics, hence their persecution of the Cathars. Now, when the Catholics actually won the siege, there were plenty of Cathars who converted and left, but of course the 210 that remained refused to relinquish their faith and of course paid the ultimate price for it. Now, obviously, that's a very a very emotional, very deep story. I don't know how I would feel if if the enemies came to my gates and said convert or go in a bonfire. I'm not sure which one I would do. So it really made me think about a lot of different things there, really. Now, what is it that led you to write the song about such a topic? Now that I know the location has some significance, why did the Cathars come into it?
Because on each of the gate systems, there's usually a collective of guardians that are there in those specific times, and they did have a mission. The Cathars did have a mission at that particular time to do something energetically, so that we, in these times that we're in now, we could basically move past the darkness and into the light. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So the knowledge that I believe that they had was the same knowledge that is coming through now, and that knowledge basically leads you to the understanding that the body is a vessel, the consciousness goes on, and I strongly feel, and my wife had a kind of a strong feeling about this as well, that when they were being burnt, they didn't have the kind of feelings that you think you would have. They had the kind of feelings where they knew what they were doing. They knew that this was, the consciousness would go on, and they knew that this time now would be coming. So in fact, there was one of the last Cathars that had a prophecy that 700 years later, the laurels would be green again. I think it's something along those lines. So if you're interested, check that out.
Okay.
But here we are. This is the time. So and I do believe that we are seeing that happen, even though it looks chaotic. We're heading in the right direction. Sometimes the darkness has to come to the light to even see it before we transmute it. So the basically this is linked with the Jesus times and Joshua and what he came to do and his group came to do. They came to bring these teachings. Unfortunately, they got into the hands of the those lovely Roman Catholics, and they changed all the books and cannibalized all the books in the Council of Nicaea, and then we're where we're at now with religions. So, but there was many attempts to bring through this kind of information in the past, but it's been kind of overwritten. I mean, you've got to ask yourself why would there be a crusade in the first place? Why did they even want to take out these group? Like, what was it about this group? Why are they trying to wipe out all memory of who they are and what they were about? There's got to be a reason, right? So, and I believe that they had access to information, and they were actually living embodiments, which is why they said perfect. Now I have a different view on what perfect means. Every moment is perfect, even though our mind can sometimes perceive it as being imperfect and not right for our how we want it to go. But it doesn't mean it's perfect in the whole grand scheme of things. I feel like that's what that actually meant with them being perfect. They acknowledged that.
It is interesting because a lot of the sources that I read, it doesn't actually describe what they meant by perfect. And of course, perfection is completely subjective. So, yeah. So thanks for going into that a little bit more for me. That is very interesting. If it's okay, I just wanted to read out a quote of yours, if that's all right.
Yeah,
absolutely. So it's about creation, and you said, "Creation is the eternal nature of Source, and when embodying creation, we embody this eternal nature. Deep healing and connection comes from this embodiment. When sharing creation, we reflect and share that connection through the art. When others interact with authentic art coming from this connection, it can be felt and often triggers the same connection within the listener/viewer. That is the deepest and strongest reason for the path of artistry to unfold and is a calling I must fulfill." I really like that quote. It's really good. I mean, what are you talking about? Us being on the same frequency, and when people come together and share art, you really do feel it inside of you. You know, for example, with Malakot Radio, all of the different artists that I listen to, and you know, I look at the bios and look at the journeys that they're on. You know, it really does resonate with me. And your music in particular, I've started listening to quite frequently now because it really does resonate with me. Do you mind if I give you my opinion on how your music makes me feel?
Sure. Yeah, I would love that. Thank you.
Yeah. So when I listen to your music, the main feeling that is evoked within me is inspiration. You know, again, sat in the dreary Northeast, sometimes, you know, you wake up in the morning, you don't get out of bed quickly enough. You sat there thinking, what am I going to do today? And when I listen to your music, I feel like I need to be outside in nature. There's things happening, like you said, the snapshots right now. There are things out there happening right now that if I don't go out, they'll be missed forever. That's what I feel when I listen to your music. It gives me a sense of FOMO, fear of missing out on what's going on out there, and all the beautiful opportunities that I could miss if I don't, you know, all the opportunities that could pass me by if I don't get up and go out there and see them. So I just wanted you to know that that's what I feel when I listen to your music. It's really epic. That's the only word I can think of. It's like it's very epic. That combined with the visuals, you know, you've got really great videos up on YouTube, great, you know, drone scenes of like nature and, you know, all these beautiful, amazing things coupled with the music. Like I said, it just makes me think, get out the house. What you doing? You sat in a cardboard box, you know, you got to go out there and see what's going on.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you ever so much for sharing that, Jack. I appreciate that.
No problem at all. But listen, Malakot Radio viewers, you can find Aquashii pretty much everywhere. If you type in Aquashii, is that correct? Aquashii with 2 eyes. Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Aquashii-music.com. Please go and check him out. Tony, I really love your music. Like I said, very inspirational. I'll keep playing you on the radio. And thank you so much for your time.
Malitat Radio, Internet Radio with intent.